As we track the latest developments out of Syria this hour, let's talk about the challenges facing U.S. policy and the comments President Obama made to CNN just a few days ago. I want to bring in Errol, a CNN political commentator and the politics anchor for New York One and a friend of this show. And Scottie Hughes is a news director for the Tea Party News Network and a columnist at townhall.com. Good to see you. She's a newbie on the show, at least since I've been here. Good to see you. So I want to play for you guys what President Obama told our Chris Cuomo about options in Syria, U.S. options. Listen.
If the U.S. goes in and attacks another country without a UN mandate and without clear evidence that can be presented, then there are questions in terms of whether international law supports it. Do we have the coalition to make it work? And those are considerations that we have to take into account. Now this latest event is something that we've got to take a look at.
All right, so Errol, he's talking about mandates, he's talking about coalitions, international law. That doesn't sound like a man preparing to take military action.
Well, it very much does. I mean, or he's somebody who doesn't want to take political military action if he can avoid it. He wants to come in with a coalition. This is very much his style. Frankly, it is the American style in the region, not to go it alone to the extent that they can, especially where something like military options are being considered. Because, make no mistake, Don, when you talk about a no-fly zone, and there'll be a lot of talk about that, oh, just create a no-fly zone. That means going in and bombing positions, taking out every anti-aircraft gun that country has.
Right.
It is in effect going to war, and this is not something that this president wants to do. Start yet another war in the Middle East.
Especially when we have war fatigue already. Scottie, let's talk. He's already talked about the red line. He's taking heat from people like John McCain. So I don't know, what can the U.S. really do beyond taking military action?
Well, that's a big action, especially when you're the largest military power in the world. That is a huge action. And President Obama right now is wanting to form this coalition. I don't think he needs to worry about the UN approval. I think he needs to worry about the American people approval. And why do we want to get involved in another civil war? We can remember Korea. We can remember Vietnam. These people continue to have turmoil.
But many people will say the answer to that is that people are being killed there. That's why we would want to get involved.
And what's funny about all this is the shoes on the other foot. Let's go back just 10 years ago in Iraq, and everybody was sitting here, and everybody obviously had some sort of evidence to vote to approve for us to go into Iraq, and therefore now President Obama's having to deal with that same issue. Yet he campaigned against President Bush saying, oh, why did we get involved in Iraq? Same issue.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a little bit different because we were looking for weapons of mass destruction that weren't sure
that were going to go against the United States.
But now you see people killing, and Saddam Hussein killed his own people as well.
Well, but that's the key. You also have to remember, 10 years ago, we were still, I think, using shoe phones, and Lindsay Lohan had not had her first criminal arrest record yet. So it's a different time. Now, these videos we're seeing out of Syria are truly camera phones and people using technology. We might have seen the same things in Iraq.
Coming out of Iraq. Let's turn to Errol and talk about government, Errol, government surveillance, because President Obama defended it to our Chris Cuomo as well. Take a listen.
It can only work if the American people trust what's going on. And what's been clear since the disclosures that were made by Mr. Snowden is that people don't have enough information and aren't confident enough that between all the safeguards and checks that we put in place within the executive branch and the federal court oversight that takes place on the program and congressional oversight, people are still concerned as to whether their emails are being read or their phone calls are being listened to.
Okay, so he said people don't trust the government, but then he says we need to trust the government, or he realizes people don't trust the government, we need to trust the government.
That's right.
What's the solution here?
He's got no good, easy answers here. This is somebody who has been sort of backtracking step by step. And he said in that interview, oh, no, nobody's, well, accidentally we may have listened in a few times. So if they did it 2,400 times by accident, civil libertarians and frankly the public at large has to wonder, gee, what if they really wanted to do something bad? And he's holding a very weak hand. I think he knows that he's not trusted. That's really what he's reflected there. Right. And he's got to step back from being a constitutional law professor who's got courts overseeing this and some of that. Yeah. The public wants something much more transparent, much more clear, and much more limited.
Yeah, trust us. Well, I know you don't trust us. So is there anything that can be done that without infringing upon the rights of privacy for the American people?
Well, there would be. If there was just one isolated case, if we were just dealing with maybe the IRS targeting, or maybe just Benghazi, or maybe just Fast and Furious and everything else that goes along with it, then I think the American people want to trust the commander-in-chief. People on both sides of the aisle want to believe that the White House is working for us. The problem is it's just time after time after time. And whether you believe these are phony or not, there's too many of them. So if you don't believe in one scandal, guess what? There's a plethora of other ones that you can choose from.
All right.